and welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey Podcast, the podcast where me and my brother normally talk about English ice hockey, but I'm with Dan, our good friend Dan, and Dad has joined us as well, where we talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NIHL. And we've got another team special. It's the Romford Raiders team special. And I was delighted to be joined by Brandon Ayliffe for a nice little interview. It was about 25 minutes. So we had a good laugh, good chat about his career, about the Raiders growing up, and he is coming up to his ninth season. So, good little interview. But if you haven't watched the team specials already, we basically look back at last season, how they did. We then cut to the interview, and then after the interview, we'll talk about the roster they've put together ready for this season, our expectations, and our ones to watch each as well. So obviously Charlie's on holiday, or he's on a little 2 week trip. So Dad's come in for this one, for his first team special. Doing all right, Dan?
Yeah, I'm doing all good, thank you.
Nice one. We found a day where we can film a couple, so I think we're going to film one more as well. Dad, you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Good, good.
Nice one. So last season, the Romford Raiders made the cup final and narrowly just lost out to the Leeds Knights. But it was a great achievement for them to get to the final. We were lucky enough, Dan, to go to the semi-finals against Milton Keynes, which was games of the season, really. They finished seventh in the league. So they finished seventh or eighth? I think it's seventh in the league, just ahead of Telford. They qualified for the playoffs, but they didn't make Coventry. They actually gave MK a real good go on that first weekend. They beat Sheffield twice, but they could have beat Swindon. So, on a whole, Dan, I'll come to you first. I think they had a pretty good season. Obviously, the new ownership, there was a lot of question marks coming into it. And I don't want to say they overperformed, but our expectations last year was just for them to make the playoffs, but they made a final.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they went into that season with no expectations on them at all. Like, I think it got to the point in that off season where obviously it looked like Romford weren't going to be a team, and obviously the fans came together. So I think going into that season, the fans didn't care what was going on with that team as long as they were playing on the ice. They didn't mind what happened if they won or if they lost. And yeah, I think in some ways, I think that sort of suited Romford. I think they just went out there every game, sort of just tried their best in every game that they could and just see where it took them, really. And they had some few really good seasons from a few guys, obviously like Sean Miller and Schufelt that we'll probably talk about. Obviously having those two guys that were firing and just some Brits that are also stepping up. I think everyone sort of came together last year and really sort of played for that Romford badge and sort of really put on a performance for the fans that obviously deserve it.
Yeah, well, Laystrom became, I guess, the player coach, the player head coach. He had a lot of injury struggles last year, which meant they brought in a couple of imports. Obviously, Yokoyama come in and played some games, and he did really well. And they brought in Reed Morrison, who played 16 games at the back end of the season. He was really good as well. But Dad, the standout for me, and we did say we thought Lation would be able to recruit some good little imports, and Shaw Miller and Shufelt completely changed their whole season, really, didn't they? And they did rely on them a lot at times, but that's what you bring your imports in for. And I think they were a massive part of why they got to that cup final.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And they would score out of nothing at times. And they were formidable when they were on the ice. I recall a few of the games with Swindon, and just a couple of goals from Miller. His shot is so quick. And yeah, to be fair, they boosted Raiders season massively. And I think that's probably just set him up for another season. To be fair, to build on what was already achieved last year, and that probably, as we both said, is probably slightly overachieved in the sense of what they were expecting. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, he was good. Seeing him on the ice, yeah, excellent buys. Yeah,
Specifically their home form and
yeah,
the cup games. Obviously, they changed it this year to just the first 10 games. And I don't think they lost a game at home, Dan. They won every single game. They had that crazy comeback against Swindon, where I still don't know how we lost that game, where we were
yeah.
2-0 up. with 3 minutes to go,
Yep.
scored two quick goals and won it in overtime. And that was a cup game. And they were against Hull as well, that cup game in overtime where Seb Moore scored. They just had this home form which secured them that cup spot. And then it was nothing to lose, really, coming up against Milton Keynes, who had what you'd say a super team. They had so many good players. First leg was just bonkers. I think it was 5-4 to Romford in the end.
Yeah, they scored at the last
Schufelt,
minute.
Schufelt
Mm.
scored on that last minute. They then go 3-0 down in the second leg, and just the Romford way of never giving up. And they came back and beat Milton Keynes in their own barn and made it to the cup final. And even that first leg of the final, they were 5-4 up against Leeds. It was just bonkers what they managed to do on their home rink. And credit has to go to all the staff who did really good at promoting the team and getting a lot more families to come and a lot more fans in Romford to come and watch the teams. They had plenty of sellout games, which was great to see. I don't think they've sold out for so many years since the Ron Valley Way. So it was just a season to remember, I think, for Romford.
Yeah, I'm like it was a very, very up and down season for Romford with emotions. Obviously, lots of highs and then obviously lots of lows as well. But with that team and that mentality, you're only going to get good things if you carry that on through the future. And like Ian said, obviously you've got a good something there to build from now. You've sort of a year that didn't look like it was going to happen. You've really been able to make like a good little plan of what's for the future, and you've got guys there that you've got Romford guys there that they've played in Romford all their life. They've played as juniors, they've come up through the ranks, and obviously we'll talk about the coach that they brought in as well that'll probably help with that. And they know what it means to be that Romford player and playing at home in front of those fans. They know what it means to be a fan of that team. And like I said before, everyone just came together last year and that's what got them the success that they had.
I agree. It was all kind of a collective teamwork, if you want to call it. And Dad, they did teeter off a little bit near the end of the season in the league. I think um, they didn't really have anything to play for in that way in terms of league, and it was so tough for Leisham because you could tell he wanted to play, but the injuries held him back. And then Morrison come in, did really well, and yeah, I just think it was. I know they didn't win anything, but it was a nice season for the fans, and I think Romford was the team which I watched the most when it wasn't Swindon. We went to so many Romford games. I did a bit of commentary as well, and I just think the overall vibes at Romford were very positive last season, Dad.
Yeah, definitely. I think. I mean, I remember going the last game Swindon played
Oh
at
yeah,
Romford. It was it went to penalties and Glenn Billing, but that sort of typifies the sort of it was okay the game backwards and forwards, but I, I go back to those two Milton Keynes games. They will stick in the memory of a lot of Romford fans for last season as the highlight and how they can build on it for next season. You're right; it teetered off towards the end, and they were plagued with a few injuries and all that kind of stuff. But just go back to those Milton Keynes games to get into the final and the final itself. I think just those four games that will just give them the momentum to build this season
yeah,
because it was a fantastic atmosphere. I think I got the stream for those games as well because and was just in awe of some of the play there. They just did not give up. They were going to leak
yeah.
goals, but they were going to score them. So yeah, up and down, but overall, I think I said it already, but I think they built a momentum to build on for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that pretty much sums up their season last year. I remember, Dan, we were speaking to Romford fans after that MK away game, and Swindon have won some games with Milton Keynes, and it's just because they're so good at home. When you do beat them, it's just unreal. And just seeing some of their faces, them celebrating
Yeah.
with the horns, just those are what sticks out in the memories for so many fans. But yeah, shall we get to the interview with Ayliffe then? Really nice little interview. Went in some tangents, just chatting and having a laugh. So enjoy that one. And we'll be back with the players they've signed up for this season. Hello and welcome back. We've got a very special interview for our Raiders special. I'm delighted to be joined by Brandon Ayliffe. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. You?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just less than a month to go till pre-season kicks off. How's your summer been? Obviously, having a few months away from hockey.
Well, actually, never away from hockey really. Soon as the season's finished, I'm playing roller hockey in the summer.
Nice.
So I'm constantly skating, just keeping my fitness up really.
Nice one. That's what the Raiders fans would like to see. There's quite a few players. We were chatting to Louis Newell actually, and he's a big roller hockey player as well. So it's good you've been keeping up with it in the off season.
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll go back to the start then, like we always do. How did you get into ice hockey? Because obviously it's not the main sport in England.
yeah. Well, pretty much since I was born, basically. Like most of the fan base at Romford has known me since I was a baby, pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much since I was born. My mum and dad just basically took me to Ron Valley Way. I started skating when I was 3, and then I started playing hockey when I was 3.5. Only because of Erskine Douglas, who was a former head coach of juniors back then.
Yeah,
Where he was just there at the rink at some point, at one point, and he just turned around to my dad and said, "Is he interested in like playing?"
yeah.
When I don't know, and then I just weren't interested in football when I was younger, and still to this day, I'm not interested in football.
Really, I know a few of the lads are big football fans.
Honestly,
JT.
I genuinely can't think of a worse sport.
It's just so slow compared to ice hockey. So
I can't,
I
honestly.
don't blame you playing
I genuinely can't.
hockey instead. So obviously you grew up through the Romford and Chelmsford system. You see a lot of the Romford boys kind of go between the two. But yeah, how was that kind of growing up playing in Romford? Because it's a special place to play.
Yeah, honestly, for people who didn't get the experience, Ron Valley for the hockey experience as well. Like, there's been some memorable moments at Ron Valley from EPL days, even the older, even like further days, probably like I think it might have been Heineken League.
Yeah,
Yeah, even like the players we used to have in like you can go down like Forster wise, you had Rushton, Mark Williams, you had Norman Pinion, all play for
oh
at
mate,
one point.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, even like the Chelmsford Romford rivalry, just watching games like that, that it's
Was
just
that what you grew up watching as a kid? Kind
yeah.
of just all those big battles in that
Oh yeah,
such
that
compact. I've
old,
seen so
old
many videos.
yeah, the old school style hockey is what I was watching. The hard hitting, just
Yeah,
every whistle you probably saw a fight.
yeah.
Not many players actually got thrown out of a game either. They were still playing in from 50 odd penny minutes that just happened.
It's
But
changed a lot, hasn't it, since
yeah, it's changed drastically over the years from in incidents that have just recently happened. So it's hard. You want to make sure players are safe at the same time, but it kind of ruins it a little bit in my perspective. Not
Yeah,
so much of the safeguarding, but I mean that I'm all full well for the safety side of the hockey, but when people moaning about the fighting side, but then most fans are excited about that side.
yeah.
But
That's the pull to the sport, isn't it, for
yeah,
fans who don't know about ice hockey?
yeah, exactly. It's been in the sport for God knows how. Like, even when people ask me, still to this day, when I'm at work or something, they're like, "Oh, what? How comes you're allowed to fight?" I don't know. It's just
It's just part of it. It's
it's been
always
there
been
since
there.
I've known it. So
Yeah. But I'd still say, even to this day, Romford's one of those places where you still got the fans behind your back. So how is it playing in front of those guys who are giving loads of shit to the away team as well?
yeah, yeah. I gotta admit, if it was back in the day and the fan base and there was a fan base doing that to yeah, that worry would have gone down very lightly. But yeah, I can tell on the social media side. I still see like the social media like NHL frenzy. Like most of the fan base, when you see the people put an anonymous up, I'm like, here we go. What's on the feed now? Like even after. I'll say either after the weekend. Sometimes I don't go over it over the weekend, but then I'll go over it after like Monday at work. I'll just start flicking through. I'm like, let's make my Monday even better. Let's just have a laugh. And it's always all you hear is wrong for this, wrong for that. The fans of this, fans of. I'm like, but no matter where you go, you're gonna have that
Oh,
sort of. You're gonna have that one fan base who's just gonna mouth off someone else to. And but the fact is, you're not even showing who you are, so you can't get caught.
yeah.
It's
But I'd say that's been a big part of Romford's success and home success is just how intimidating it can be. And when it, even if a team's got a lead, it happens so many times this season where you guys didn't give up. You knew you had the crowd behind you and just made a comeback. And no lead is safe in Romford, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I think at one point I can't remember who we were playing. I was walking out the elevator. I was walking to the elevator, and it was a goalie as well. I know it was a goalie because I heard walking into the elevator. I can't remember who was playing though. And then all of a sudden she's like, "Just get me the out of here." I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like, I know it's a tough game, but yeah, but there are many reasons people hate because of one, the fan base. They're just so loud,
Yeah.
and it went like even during when it was the cup final, the roar. I thought the roof was about to blow off. Being honest, like even in the change room, you just hit when they're getting the fans upbeat ready for us walking out. Like literally, you could just hear the rumble from inside the change room. I'm like, oh, this is gonna cave in at some point. Like, can we just simmer it down a little?
Could you hear the difference, especially this season, obviously with the new ownership and bringing a lot more fans to the game? You get a few families as well, but you've always got those old school fans who've been around. Could you really feel how packed it was in the arena? Because we went to a few games, that one against Milton Keynes, which was packed out, that semi-final game, and that was unbelievable.
On it, like from the last time I saw it properly pack out was either I would say that Peterborough game where we made it to Coventry,
Yeah.
or I would personally say it was the first game we had at Sapphire. That was the last time I
Oh
remember
yeah.
fully packed. So other than them couple of times, since then it was since MK, even most of the MK games, we weren't far off having a sellout. Even with
Yeah.
Lincoln as well, most games we weren't far off selling out because of the advertising was probably a bit better this year. They put in a lot of work and effort into it. So and plus it was a learning curve for the whole
Organization.
yeah. So I think it went well last year. I'm sticking by what they've got to do this year. They've got to run the club how they see fit, and hopefully it brings us more success than we did last year. I think we came up a bit short. We was unlucky with a few results, but
Yeah.
like you said, we didn't stop in any game. We carried on, even if we might be getting pumped. We still play. At the end of the day, you play till the whistle's done. Like that
Yeah.
was that was the one thing Leish made sure we drilled in. He wants us sticking by. You're playing through no matter what. Like if you're getting pumped no matter what, you can't forfeit. You can't just be like, yeah, we're done. Like you just got to keep playing. At the end of the day, like even we proved it in Solway where one night we weren't our best. We had a good night's sleep. We had to think about it. Next day, you saw a completely different
Yeah.
team.
And I think that's the joys of hockey. And last season, particularly, I want to quickly go on you personally. It was your best scoring season, and
Yeah.
how was it being able to play next to Shuey and Miller? That must have been your best partnership or best line
Uh,
you played on.
I'd say for the season just been, yeah, I'd say out of the well, I was always paired. I was either one point, I was either paired with one each. So like at one point it was me and Shuey on one line, Miller on the other, and then it was
Yeah.
me and Miller on another, and Shuey on another, and then it ended up being us three again. But I tell you what, playing with them two was it. They just told me, look, you go this route, you be there, we'll find you. If you've got space, shoot it. If you haven't got the shot, move it about. Like it was so helpful. And every time they come to a face off, they because I'm not a natural centre. I think I've probably played centre once in juniors, and that was it. My first position was a D man, and I know that side, and I know the winger, but centre, I was like, boys, like, I know I've got to snap it back, but what's the play after? Like, you got to help me out here. Yeah, no, they helped us. Like, we run some plays. We was looking up videos of what draws we can help. Like, I was having a struggle at one point, and the boys were like, look, just even hold it, and then we'll come in and help you. I was like, all right, we'll try it. It worked. Then I was getting the confidence back, and yeah, that pretty much like it's after especially besides face-offs, I would say playing with them was just easy because I can skate with them. I know if I don't give it to him, it's either going in or the goalie's going to get hurt from the shot. So,
Millsy he
oh,
just skated. All you had to do is give him the puck. He get in the zone. You can drive the net.
yeah, exactly. Like there was at one point, I think this was like well, it was on a bench discussion. Like there was a play where against Bristol at home, I got the puck, I see Millsy, he's just flying. I'm like, I've got to put this down. I put it off the balls and he came back. I was like, perfect rebound because he got it at a perfect angle and he made a good play. I was like,
It's easy.
yeah, I'm just gonna stay behind here, let you skate, and I'll just send it. I'm still fast, but I'm not as fast as you no more. I don't think.
Well, I was going to come on to that because you always have a knack over the years of me and Charlie. You always bring it up on the podcast of scoring breakaway goals against Swindon, and obviously we majority watch the Swindon games. But
Yeah.
what is it about just getting those little breakaways? And I guess that's one of your best attributes, just the pure
Uh,
speed.
I think since like juniors,
Yeah,
even, I think even Sean used the same tactics when he was in juniors, where what I'll make a big swing. Either they'll fake or they'll let me take it, I'll I'll be high, cut the D man, but they'll make a pass through the middle, and then I'm gone. So, but now I think it's come to realization most teams know the play I do.
yeah,
Yeah. So I didn't get really much breakaway chances like I did this year, but now even every goalie knows where I'm going now. It's always backhand. Everyone's somehow figured it out. But no, but yeah, I think even Ethan was helping me throughout the season when it came to breakaway because that was my move was backhand, fake forehand, go backhand. Now, like I said, every goalie knows it. Marzi saved multiples of them throughout the season. Um, but yeah, Ethan's just telling me shoot. I was like, yeah, but I ain't got the shot like Millsy or Shuey or Leish and Jakey and like even TJ can rip it as well. But I feel like in my head I don't have that shot. But then I'm hearing people. Like, I get told by people in the crowd after a game, they're like, "Why don't you shoot?" I'm like,
yeah.
"I don't think I can hit it that hard." Like being, then obviously surprised myself when I'd done that slap shot against MK. I was like, "Oh, maybe I can shoot."
Yeah, well, you got your most goal, well, joint most goals you've scored in the National League, and do you think you can try and take a bit more confidence into that? Obviously, you've still got Millsy coming back next season, and Leish, fingers crossed, will be all ready to go as well.
Yeah,
So
well,
it's looking like a nice little import call you've got.
yeah. Import core is good. Obviously, Leish has been with the boys for a while now.
Yeah,
Millsy was obviously with us last year. With them two and the two new lads that I haven't seen highlights of the D man yet. I haven't.
big guy, like
Yeah, just from seeing the
strong
stats,
D man.
I just seen the stats. I went, oh, I think I might need a booster seat just to talk to you. Um, but yeah, but I saw Cole's highlights.
Great goalie, winning the
It's
flag.
very agile, quick guy. Obviously, the angles don't of their what their videos of their games doesn't you don't see you just see a very large view and you're like
Yeah,
like you see how he plays, but where he's like I'm looking at him like it look he's quick, he's there. I'm like, my God. He's not giving that value of what he can actually do. Like the video doesn't actually help proper.
justice.
But yeah, with them with the core we have, I don't see an issue, but for me, for myself, like I said in my announcement, I was very disappointed in myself last year with points wise. I missed that. Like there was some opportunities. I look even still now. I still watch highlights every coming up to every season. I'll go back and I'll watch highlights and I'll or because I can't get up my Instat, so I'll look on video where I am, where I'm playing. Like there were like leads. I'm like I could have shot if I just shot that, it would have gone in, but better opportunity. But I'll go over see what I need to improve on again every season. Try and keep my skating, my speed, keep that going. But I've got more left in the tank to empty, especially
No,
this year.
that's good to hear. I mean, you're still only 27, but it feels like you've been around for so long because I think you're
That's
coming up to 8 years at Romford now, is it?
it's my ninth year.
9 years, nearly a
Yeah.
testimony year.
Yeah, so yeah, that's similar to the same comment that Aaron got back in Basingstoke. Yeah, I remember that comment. He's like, someone the announcer was like, Aaron Conley, and he's like, oh, how old is he? Oh, 20. He's been around for decades. I'm like, oh my God, made me feel old.
Um, Going on to this season as well, it's a bit different compared to last year. Obviously, you had the three import forwards and you had a couple other forwards as well. But this year's a bit different in terms of you got that import netminder and the import defenseman. I don't think you've had a proper import defenseman for can't even remember the last time. I know you've had imports covering like Prevo covered in at D sometimes, but
Yeah, but he was more forward
he was, yeah.
initiated.
So
Yeah,
how cool will it be to have someone come in and just take on that big defensive role this season?
I yeah, I say where Ralphie um not coming back. Well, I don't know what happened in that scenario. Whatever was spoken between Bucky and him, that's down to them two. I don't know. But that is a big pair of skates to fit in, especially with the block shockers he had on.
Yeah,
Uh, Even if he didn't mean to, Ralphie was just in the way. But with the size he's got, I think he's going to do some damage in this league, being honest. Especially with like the Swindon boys, like Bedbris. Like I'm not being funny. Me trying to hit him, it's like it's. I'll have a go.
yeah.
Like as you've probably seen, I'm not afraid to not throw my
Oh
weight
yeah.
into Bedbris and like Zavek, and I'm not. I'm not afraid of the big boys. I'll try and hit them. I'll try and knock them down. Um, but yeah, there's some skates to fill. But like I said, I just won this season similar to last year, but better in my perspective.
Yeah,
Like with these new kind of faces we've got coming in, but most of the boys are well gelled, and to be fair, most of the boys actually know each other anyway.
yeah,
So pretty well, if you actually look about it, so like most of the boys I used to play juniors I'm playing back with now.
yeah.
Like Coops, Oleg, Jakey, what
Coop,
that? Oh,
Jack Cooper.
yeah, Coops. That's it. Yeah, Coops. Yeah,
Coop, sorry, yeah,
yeah, Coops. I can't remember who. I think that actually my Ethan was juniors, but
yeah,
but yeah, other than that, because I never actually done juniors with T. TJ's obviously a few years younger than me.
yeah,
I was probably more likely by the time TJ started playing, I was probably like under 14s maybe.
yeah.
So,
The thing
but
is, it's been the Raiders team has been kind of so tight knit together for the last few years, and I think it will be good this season to have keep that core which you've got. You've got Millsy coming back, which is huge for the club, because of how I personally thought he's the best import or best forward in the league last year.
yeah,
And then you add a few different kind of other players coming in. Obviously, you got your juniors as well, and that was going to lead me to another question: who's kind of a young player you're really looking forward to see improve and come up this season? Because I know there's quite a few who are on the verge of coming into the National League.
it's it's hard because I don't actually see him train often. The only time I see
Yeah,
him is with us, and half of the time we're doing special skills, and it's hard to have him on the ice to do the special skills because they're 9 times out of 10 they might not be playing because they'll be playing with the Bucks.
yeah,
So it's but the one I like to see, well, I know Megas has been with us a few times. He's a solid player. He's got a D man. He just needs a bit more confidence into hitting it, hit a little bit more weight on to hit like to put somebody onto someone without feeling. Because I know I spoke to him. He's like, "Oh, if I hit him, I fall over." But like, I get knocked. I hit and I fall over, but I get back up.
yeah.
That's that's literally you just if you get knocked down, you gotta get back up
It's
and
all
just keep
part of
going.
the growth into the National League, really, isn't it?
Yeah, like my first. It's like that. What is it like in the NHL? They give that welcome to the NHL moment.
NHL, yeah,
I can't remember. Someone rocked me so good, and I thought I was that. I genuinely thought I was done. Um, I think it might have been Frankie Bakalik.
Oh, mate, he's one of the biggest guys I've ever seen.
I I hated playing against him because I used to like especially at Lee Valley where the boards will go down and you
Yeah.
got part of the plexi sitting behind that one. You got a bit of a lip that like that. I'm like, and this geezer would try and run your head through boards. And I remember lining up on a face off, and the geezer's like, he looks about 8 foot tall on skates, and there's me rocking up with 5'7", maybe 5'8" on skates. And I'm looking at him like you're having a laugh here. And I'm looking over
Yeah.
at Sean at the time. I'm like, you're lining me up with this like freak. Like he's huge. And then he put his stick in between my legs, and I'm looking at him. I just look at the eyes. I'm thinking, that's gonna go right in the crown jewels. That ain't happening. That is not happening. So I used to be like a proper little like little school kid, like ref, look at your stick, look at your stick. 'Cause I did not I didn't want to have a circumcision early. But yeah, like I think he kind of made me because at the time it wasn't National League.
No, it was
Um,
EPL.
well, it wasn't even EPL really, was it? It's weird.
Oh, the National One, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was that weird league, wasn't it?
it wasn't called because you obviously had Streatham and Victor in it as well.
Yeah.
So he won't. But yeah, he he was the
He's in my kind of
yeah,
all-time
like
scary guys kind of playing against.
that's the problem. Not problem, but I feel like since me coming into the league, you had some scary because I remember playing against Cornish when I was like 16,
Or
17,
Jeremy Cornish.
playing for Chieftains, and even he used to scare the shit out of me sometimes. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
oh, leave it. I don't want to play. I don't. There was a few boys in that Isle of Wight team I hated, but then that's what kind of made me the player I feel like I am today. Because you had the dirt, like the dirtiness, the grittiness.
Yeah, you had to go through that.
Yeah, but like these boys that are coming through now, I feel like they're having an easy way
Yeah.
being welcomed into the league kind of thing. Because there's not actually many big guys anymore.
Well, and even when they do hit, really, they'll probably get called because they
Yeah,
that's why they don't hit kids in cages now and kids
yeah.
who are really small kind of thing. But
Um, I think it happened to me one year. I can't remember who was playing. I hit a kid but he's the same height as me. And I remember because his cage hit me square in the face, I got done for a penalty. I mean, I was like, why? Well, I'm the same height as the kid. Like the kid's probably going to be taller than me at some point. So like, I don't care. Like we must have been losing for me to hit the kid, but no one went for me because like at the end of the day, he's learning. It wasn't a big hit, but the fact that I hit him hard, that's what I feel like these juniors coming through need to learn.
no, I agree.
Hard way because like getting a whack, getting a slash, little crochet here and there. Like I've got to admit, last year I'm not saying he's dirty, but he's very physical. He's spatterful.
Yeah, yeah,
Very, he's very physical. Because if you look at all the penalties he had over last year, it was stick plays like cross check, slash.
yeah,
Uh, That's what I mean. And he like at one he got me good at MK as well. He slapped me right on the thumb where my thumb would just went black and I couldn't even grip my stick for about a month.
really,
I couldn't even do anything. I carried on playing, but I was like I could barely shoot. But then I had movement, but I just couldn't feel anything in my thumb because my nail was peeling off. I was like, he got me good. But then you give it back to him. But then that's where the refs are like, all right, fair enough. You gave one back, job done.
yeah, yeah.
Now go off, go play.
That's made me think actually. What happened then on the semi-final? Because me and Dan were there, and you missed the first period, or you got back just as the first period ended in that semi-final.
I
Do you
was
want to quickly go through that? Because I remember mention it to Ethan.
so I couldn't get time off work. No, I did get time off work, but I was waiting for my lift to get pick me up from work.
Yeah,
So and then by the time I actually finished work, I actually had enough time to go to the rink and catch the boys on the bus. Then my lift turned around and tells me there was traffic, there was an accident.
yeah, it was bad traffic that day.
I was so I walked about nearly 2 hours from work just to like try and help them walk up to like the motorway, and then I was like. Oh, no, there was like, no, we're about 15 minutes away. I'm like, oh, went, but I had to go home, get my tracksuit. So I thought I had time. They left so my mum was coming to get me because my car was in the garage. My mum's come forward to come help me, pick me up and take me. Next thing you know, I went, oh, leave it out. He's in, like, she's there. I walked 2 hours. I couldn't, I was in the rain, gone home. By the time I got there, obviously the game started. I'm like, get there quick, get there quick. My mum's like speeding. And then as I got there, I saw the clock. It said 10 minutes left of the first period. I was like, this is going to be the quickest change up I've ever been in my life.
No stretching. You haven't even been
Oh,
on the ice. Like
oh,
work all
it's
day.
so horrible. I got literally, I put my sweats on in the car as well. So underneath my tracksuit, I went old school under 12s days. I put my tracksuit underneath my tracksuit. I've sweats underneath my tracksuit. I've gone running into the ring like sprinting.
Is there a rule that if you don't play in the first period, you're not allowed to play the rest of the game?
Yeah, before the start of the second period.
Oh,
So I got there with 10 minutes left of the first period. I was like, oh, I've got to get. I basically got zipped up. Then I looked at the clock. It was like 6 minutes. I went, that took me 4 minutes. Like, I didn't even take my stick at this point. I went, oh, yeah, that would do. I'm standing there. The boys, hey, Brandon's here. I'm like, all right, boys. That first shift, I felt like a public skater for the first time. I'm like,
on the MK rink as
they're
well.
so stiff. I'm sitting in the car for nearly like 2.5 hours to 3 hours because of traffic. Then no stretching, like you said, no stretching, no warm up, just literally spoots on. And then yeah, and I get an assist. I got an assist.
Yeah.
Period. I was like, yeah, that's just like a storyline ending to a game, I guess.
And it was all worth it in the end because that was an unreal game, and I think a big moment for Romford
Yeah,
last season.
everyone saying, he went, you were there, you weren't there, and then you was there. I was like, yeah, I felt like Bobby Boucher in like Waterboy, where he just turned up about at the
Yeah, me and
Burger
Dan
Park.
were so confused because little Seb Moore was on the top line. We were like, "Where's Brandon?" Like,
Yeah, that was another rule. Sorry, from the question like back from earlier, that was another rule that Leish basically gave me because he turned around and said to me something because I got a big role for you. I went, yeah. He goes, but you got to work. I want you to work for it. Like everyone's got to work for it. I went, yeah, like 100%.
yeah,
Like like at one point, I think I was late to a game, and it's like I don't think it was strict, but it's like anyone, like even I say pros are probably doing it as well. If that one guy on the line's late and the other guys don't, he gets dropped. Someone else moves in. Like you got to
up to
work
the
back
time.
for it,
Yeah,
and that's how it was. You went, look, you're late and you didn't come, or you didn't come to this training session, so I have had to put him there, and he work training, so we're giving him a go. So you're on this line. I went, you're the coach.
yeah,
Whatever you say, like I'm respectful in that scenario. In any instance, any coach tells me what to do. That's it. I'll do it. So
awesome. That's what they want to hear. We'll get back to this season then. We'll bring it to a close. We always end with like, what's your message for the Romford fans? Obviously, coming into next season will be pretty different season, I'd say, because there's been a couple of people leave, but then you've also got some exciting players coming in as well.
yeah, well, bear with us. Bring the noise like normal. Be annoying to the away fans and the away teams. Yeah, the team might be different a little bit, but different. There's nothing different like last year. So why, if something changed from last year and it worked well, maybe it'd be even better.
Nice one. We'll see you next season at Romford, and good luck for next season as well. Hopefully, you can get even more points than you did last season.
Cheers, thank you. Hopefully, I
Nice
do.
one. Hello and welcome back. We are at the second part of the episode where we look at what's to come this season. And there are a few new players. Obviously, that extra import slot they've used. And we'll start with that on the goalie. Now, Ethan James has actually got an opportunity to head coach the Romford Buccaneers. So that's a really good opportunity for him. Obviously, it's tough. They've brought in the import goalie, which I think was the route which a lot of us kind of predicted they'd go to. Because of how important it is for your netminder. But I really do hope that Ethan James gets a shot, whether that's National League or the National One or in Europe or whatever it is to play against. I think he is a really good, talented goalie, but he's got another opportunity to coach the Bucks. But Cole Cece, Dan, I did not see this one coming. The MVP playoff winner from the SPHL, the Evansville Thunderbolts. He is brother to Cody Cece, who plays in the NHL, but we're not going to focus on that because he looks like a guy, 6'3" goalie, who's played in the OHL, played in the U Sports and got some good save percentages there. He then played in for Evansville, got a 9-1 save percentage and 9-2 in the season before. He's a guy who's going to come in and just steal them games next season on the road when they're not meant to, really.
Yeah, I mean their biggest sort of the biggest thing for them last season was probably goaltending. Obviously, like we said, they had a lot of injuries, and obviously Ethan James missed a lot of games. You
Yeah,
had
Ryder.
Ryder stepping up, which is fair play to Ryder. I thought he had a really good year. Obviously, he had to play some big games at such a young age as well, and sort of just coming in as a backup. Then all of a sudden, you're pretty much their main starter by the end of the year, and obviously bringing this guy in, he's got that winning mentality. Obviously he won the playoffs last year, and he's a guy that is going to come up in those big games. Like he said, like we've seen Romford playing in that final. We've seen Romford playing in those semi-finals. They love turning up for those big games, and if you can get a goaltender that will also turn up for those big games, you're going to have every chance again to make it far in cups and playoffs, etc. Because if you can keep it strong at the back end and just stop pucks going in your own net, it takes the pressure off those forwards, and you can just sort of play the game how you want to play it. And I think that was the biggest setback for Romford last year is they just couldn't keep the puck out of their own net. And
Yeah.
I think going down the import goalie route was definitely the right idea. As much as Ryder did have a good year, I think going with that import net mind just gives you that extra secure stability at the back.
Yeah, especially with we've done. You can go check out the episode we did on the import netminders. We're not going to go over that debate again, but when you need to win, winning creates ticket sales. With the extra import coming in for other teams, which will be forwards coming in, which makes the league even more competitive. Dad, I think it was a no-brainer to go for him, and all you have to do is look at Max Wright and the Bees and how much. Yes, if the Bees didn't have Max Wright, they don't beat the likes of Leeds twice, MK, Swindon twice. This is what Raiders will be hoping that Cole Ceci can do on the road is to steal a couple of those games, maybe in Hull or when you go to Swindon. Like just adding a few more wins. And if you do get to a cup, like Dan said, semi-final, you know you've got a goalie who in that single game can just steal it for you and keep you guys in it.
Absolutely. I think the other thing is, with the experience and the success that he's bringing in, that is going to help the D. He will have had good D men in front of him before, and I think he'll be pivotal in some of the training sessions with the D men in front of him. So some of the D that they've got there, I think it's only going to benefit them with his knowledge and experience. And again, he's a big guy, 6'3", in front of a net. It's gonna, and he get a good few D men in front of him, he's going to be hard to beat, and he's going to have to be moved by the opposition. You're
Yeah.
going to have to move him to get out of that net at 6'3".
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll move on to the D because they did lose Ralph. And I think obviously he's gone to the Bison, Dan, so it's gained your team. But that is a big loss for them. He's a guy who's been their main D man the last 3 years now. And he's moved on. So they've gone with the import D man, which I think, again, was a no-brainer for them losing Ralph. You need that guy who's going to be your number one D, who's going to chug up minutes. And Jarrett Baker comes in and me, you, and Charlie said last season, we think, yes, Romford play that forecheck and they'll always fight for the team and stuff like that. They didn't really have those big physical players who could be that physical presence for them, did they? They obviously lost Wells. They lost Mikey Power as well, who are two physical D men or forward as well. But they didn't have that real physical presence last season. Well, here comes in Jarrett Baker, 6 foot D man, 93 kg, comes in, played in the U Sports, and 23 pims last season, so not too bad. 103 the season before, and then 142 the season before that. Now, obviously, he's going to have to try and stay out of the box for the Raiders this year. We know how important it is to have your imports playing, penalty killing. We've said it about Tanner Butler. He's so good when he's not in the penalty box because he's our best defenseman, and that's what Jarrett Baker needs to do. He needs to come in, adapt a bit to the league because with the bans and the hits, you can't just go gung ho like the referees will call it. But this is a big guy who forwards will be a little bit scared to come across because he is physical and will get in your face, and he also can add points as well. 10 points and 18 points in a couple seasons he had in the youth sports. That's good for a D man, and he's going to be able to run their power play, run their PK. Dan, big 5-on-5 guy. That's the guy they're looking to, isn't it?
I think he's the guy that's going to fit perfectly into that Romford sort of style. We know what Romford fans love. Obviously, talking to a lot of fans, they're all talking about they miss seeing the fight. So they were all complaining that there's only been like one fight or something when we were talking to them. They love seeing players drop the gloves. And this guy, he's going to give that physical presence to the blue line. He's going to be able to run that blue line. He's going to be able to obviously the players around him are going to learn off him as well. Bit like having Cole CC in net, you've got a guy there that's out on the ice with those guys. And then he's a guy that's like he's going to step up for his team. He's going to be able to bring points. He's a perfect player for Romford, I think, because Romford fans are going to love a guy that can drop the gloves, throw hits, and also score points. So I think bringing him in, also another guy that's experienced at different levels, obviously playing out in the youth sports, a very defensive league. He knows what it means to protect the net and sort of keep the puck out of their zone. So he's coming in with bags of experience, and they've got a young decor there, and he's going to be able to teach a lot to them. And sort of just having him in the locker room is also going to be a big boost for them.
Yeah, they haven't had an import D man, Dad, an actual import D man. They've had imports cover at defense like Prevo, but haven't had a proper import D man for I can't even remember. Not in the time we've been watching them. So
Yeah.
it's a big load he's going to have to fill, and he's going to get pims. He might have the odd fight in games which don't mean too much, but he's got to really knuckle down and take on that number one defenseman. You never know, he might thrive being that number one guy offensively, but also having to shut down the top guys.
Yeah, well, I think it's new import coming in. We used to big hits, penalties, all that kind of stuff. It's going to take a little while to acclimatise, possibly. Different rinks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he's got to keep out the penalty box, but also again, people are going to be looking at his history. They will see that he's given quite a few penalty minutes away. Could be targeted. Again, you think about that in the games. He's got to be disciplined, and he's got to help run that decor with CC behind him as well. So I think really good buy for Raiders. And you just think about the size of the keeper and their import D. It's a big stack there at the back.
Yeah, and then they've got Jack Cooper and Dewey, who are fairly big defensemen who I describe their games as they'll just protect the goalie. They'll get in front of the net and they'll try and protect the goalie. And I think that's what they got to do this season. You don't have to be fancy around the back and try and play this perfect breakout hockey, which we saw them try and do a bit last season, Dan. Just protect CC, let CC see the shots, which I think he will from the wings. He'll be able to save those point blank shots. If you can just protect in front of him, I think that's what you got to do. And the one I'm really looking forward to seeing is Pascal. Marco Pascal, young defenseman still. He's a great skater, and I think he'll benefit playing next to someone like Jarrett Baker. Knows that Baker's got his back. He can do kind of the cool fancy stuff, knowing that Baker's going to be there to protect him, and I think he'll learn defensively from him as well. So it's an interesting decor, Dan, because you just don't know what it will be like with this Baker guy. And then they have to step up, don't they? The rest of the decor do have to take that step up. They've signed Callum Burnett as well, who's played in the league below a bit. So it will be a test for them. But I think the way they've got to try and do it is just, as Dad said, speak to Cole CC, get to know Cole CC, how he likes to control his net, how he likes his D-men in front of him. And you've just got to do whatever he says, basically.
I mean, I think one of the biggest things that Romford need to work on is their breakout. They struggled a lot last year of having that stretch pass up the ice. They need to have a guy that's confident carrying the puck, because every time last season they were holding it behind the net. Obviously, they were regrouping behind and all
Give it to
skating out.
Miller, bang, he'll
And
get
yeah, but they never had a guy that was confident to carry the puck over their own blue line and really get that first outlet pass. So Romford really need to work on that, because all that's going to happen is you're just going to get it cut out every time, and then you're going to be left with an on-man rush. They need to really get some guys confident on the puck, really work on puck control, and just sort of be confident in yourself and carry the puck up the ice instead of going for that long stretch pass over to the blue line and hoping that it gets to an import forward or the Brits that you've got up there.
Yeah, I think I'm interested to see how Megas Cañas comes in. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but he featured a bit last season. Only 20 years old. He's 6 foot as well. Heavy player, kind of. He's got to make that step up now to Romford. He's with the Bucks as well, but I think with their decor, he's going to be featuring a lot more. And obviously Jason Buckman, who we haven't actually mentioned yet, is the new head coach. And we'll mention him now because Adam Leishram is now signed as an actual full-time player. So he's not going to be doing any of the coaching this year. And Dad, if you can get a fully fit Adam Leishram for the whole season, he's had the whole summer to kind of rest, recoup, get ready. He hasn't got any pressure now of trying to coach the team and do all of that. He can focus on being that player, and he was their best player 2 seasons ago. So if he can get back to doing that, he's one of the most skilled, best skaters, players we've seen in this league. So Romford fans and the team will be hoping that Leishram can stay injury free, and yeah, it will be exciting for him next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's had the summer to hopefully keep himself fit and build himself up. Yeah, only time will tell, won't it? And hopefully, I mean, he won't have the pressure of having the overall responsibility, but he'll have pressure of points. He's going to have to bring in some of the points as well. I just go back. I think what Dan was saying about supporting the forward by bringing the puck forward. I think they're probably Raiders were good on their home turf, on their own ice. I think it is then the away games as well. That is where it's going to really count. They'll get used to their home ice, all the players. But away from home, that's going to be the key to be able to draw the puck out over the blue line and move it forward. But Leishram will be key in that again. But hopefully, yeah, to be fair, we all want to see a fully fit Leishram because, as you said, excellent skater, scores well, and he deserves it after last season to have a good season of full of skating and playing
Yeah,
games.
and they could recoup that line of him, Jake Sylvester and TJ, which I know they played a little bit as well. But the biggest re-signing of them all is they've managed to get Sean Miller back for another season. And I've said it countless times on the podcast. I think he was the best forward in the National League last year. Some might disagree. Obviously, he didn't get as many points as Sobchak, but the way he impacted the Raiders last year, they don't get to a final without Sean Miller. And he's just so good at everything, really. Don't get me wrong, players have their flaws, but he carries the puck forward. He skates like the wind. He can fire it in at any angle. He can play make. He can throw the body, and he is going to again have to carry a lot of the load of the points, Dan. And I know that's what the imports do, but when you're an import of a team who maybe isn't one of the top teams, the imports are so key in doing that, and he's going to have to repeat what he did last season.
Yeah, I mean, looking at what how their summer was going, I was sort of it was getting a bit worrying for them because with if they didn't get that Miller signed and done, their roster looks a totally different sort of team. But having Miller in that roster just changes the whole load of it. Credit to Romford for getting that done. It shows what sort of an organisation they are. Obviously, Miller came in and obviously loved it there for his first year and decided to come back. So it shows that obviously he was looked after, he enjoyed his time, which is always good for Romford, and obviously a bit of reassurance for those Romford fans that the players do like playing for Romford and hopefully attract some players maybe halfway through the year or further down the line. But yeah, Miller is going to be the workhorse in between all their plays. Like he's going to be the one that is the finishing touch to everything, and I think he knows that. He knows his role in this team now. He's played it for the whole year, and I think he's a perfect guy to play that role. Having Leishram up there, I think Leishram is sort of he's more of a similar player to Miller than Schufert was. Schufert was very much one-dimensional sort of shoot the puck guy and he'll always finish it. Whereas Leishram, I think, has got a bit more to his game. So having Miller and Leishram up as your forwards, I think, gives you a bit more sort of diversity in how you play in your offensive zone. Which is also good across two lines, maybe depending on how they
Maybe
do it.
one on each line because you've got two players who can run a line really. So
Yeah, I think it would make most sense to split them up instead of having them both on one line because I think you could get the best out of your top six having one of them on each. But yeah, having Leishman and Miller there as options is a dream for Buckman. So yeah, it's sort of down to him now of how he wants to play his players and what players want to play with who really.
that's interesting because we'll move on to the Brit side and Raiders had three import forwards last year. So they've got less import forwards. They've got one
Mm.
less, which means the Brits do have to step up. And you've got the likes of Ayliffe, TJ Anderson, Jake Sylvester, Tomalin as well. Briggs is back. But it's the new players they've brought in which interest me and how much of an impact are they going to have. So Mikey Power, familiar face, he's come back. Be interesting to see if he eventually goes back to D. He's down as a forward, but I thought he was quite good when he went back to D. And again, a big body, protected the goal, would fight as well. But you've then got Mikey Power, big body, can fight, can drive the net as a forward, which I think is another outlet for him, which they didn't really have last season. And they bring back Ewan Hill, which I think people have forgotten because he originally played for the Bucks, went to Bristol, and now he's come back to Romford. So that's another player who I actually think had a pretty good year with Bristol last year. I know Bristol struggled, but managed to show that he could score at this level, score a good amount of points. He was on Bristol's power play for large portions of last year, so maybe Hill's a guy who's going to step up into that top six. And yeah, they've got the likes of Thomas Palmer. They've got a couple youngsters, Shea Woolmore, who's coming through. So yeah, it's interesting. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, Oleg Lashenko comes back. He's spent the last couple seasons playing over in Dubai, which is a league which isn't taken too seriously. I think Ayliffe was saying to me that a lot of former Russian players come over and play there. But he's not a bad player, and he's played obviously for Raiders a couple times before. Scored over a point per game in the National One, then the National League. He scored half a point a game, so he's a player who can affect the lineup as well. He's a bit of a beast. So I think this year, Dad, Raiders are really coming in to try and be a bit more physical because I think you do have to be as a team which is not one of the top teams. You've got to try and bully those top teams. The likes of Mikey Power coming in, Ewan Hill, I think they're big players who are going to come in and they've got to be an impact as those depthy forwards.
Yeah, and yeah, I think I can't disagree with you. I think they've got to come in, they've got to provide that depth. They've got to be supporting the players that are bringing in the points.
Yeah.
I think they're pivotal in the success of Romford this season, and where they finish in the league. I know you're going to go on to expectations, but I think the team is set up to potentially cup runs, and trying to get into that playoff position. That's where they're going to play. That's what they're going to be playing for, I think. And those players, Powers and Hill, will be instrumental in that.
I think, Dan, it's interesting because they haven't got well, it hasn't been announced yet, but they haven't got the Moore brothers who were on two ways last year. They've obviously got Palmer who's come back as well. It's a different kind of bottom six for them. You've still got Tomalin, but it's going to be interesting. I don't know. Well, how would you say it? I don't really know what to say about it, Dan.
I don't. They I feel like Romford are going to fall into the trap of overplaying their top six. I think the depth that they've got this year, obviously, if they get the Moors, then that's obviously going to be a very big positive for them because that helps your depth a massive amount. But obviously, you're not going to get them for the whole year. But I think their depth this year is going to be interesting. I think they've obviously got a few guys on two ways. I think they've signed a lot of guys on two ways in the hope that they can maybe try them out in pre-season, try them out for the first few games, and maybe call them up full time early on in the year, and sort of
Yeah.
that's how they're going to make their depth up, just from like sourcing guys from the Bucks. But you've got a lot of guys there that need to prove a point, and
Yeah.
they obviously
Forwards and
this is their
defensemen.
chance. Like you've got a whole bottom six there of positions that are open for you, and if you need to step up, this is your chance to step up into those spots and prove that you can be a national player. And you've got players like Ewan Hill, like you said, that's come off a good year. You've got Mikey Powell that's come off a good year in the National One. Obviously, scored a lot of points for Chelmsford. I know it's a different league, but he's going to sort of maybe he's revived his sort of offensive presence, and maybe he's going to be able to score a few more points than he did before when he was in this league a few years ago. So yeah, I think it's going to be a season of a lot of guys stepping up because they do need to, and yeah, they need to build out that bottom six and really get that depth going so they can maybe at least roll three lines comfortably.
Yeah, because Lasham, to be fair to him, when he had the players, he did roll the four lines.
Mhm.
And then you'd have the
It's key.
likes of,
It's the most important thing to
yeah,
roll four
especially
lines.
with other teams as well, getting a lot more depth. We'll go to the expectations then, because I feel like we're going around in circles a little bit. Now, I'll start. I think we always say Romford to get the top. I think I'm going to say it again. I think Romford want to make the playoffs. They want to make the top eight. I think that's an expectation every team wants to make every single season. I don't think it's an expectation to go and make a cup final again or make the Coventry finals like they did a couple years ago. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that can't happen because they've proven they can be the team which you don't expect to and still get there. But just it's the first year under Buckman. A bit like we've said with which we're gonna say with Tate. A bit like which we said with Tate for the Peterborough. A bit like what we're saying with the new Basingstoke head coach as well. Just see how it goes this season. You want everyone to buy into this kind of system which Buckman's going to play, and I think they're going to be a much more hard hitting, tough to play against mean team, especially with Jarrett Baker. So yeah, I think minimum they got to try and get is a playoff spot, top eight. I think other teams have got better as well. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Other teams have got better, so it's going to be more competitive for them to get that top eight. And if they can make a cup semi-final or make Coventry, I think that would be a great success again for them. And also just keeping the fan base going, keeping the off-ice stuff going because they did such a good job of it. But anything else to add on that, Dan?
Um, I think I think it's going to be tough. I think there's games that they are going to need to steal this year. There no game is safe now. You don't really have a game where you think, "Oh, it's all good. We're playing this team this week. We should hopefully get the 4 points." It's sort of every game is
Yeah,
means something. You can't take any game for granted this year, and I think Romford sort of at points last season they got by from those sort of just stealing games last minute and stuff like that, just stealing games. And I think a lot of teams have strengthened this year. Nearly every team has strengthened, and I think it's not going to be as easy just to get those late goals and just get those quick goals and sort of get into the game. You have to play your way and sort of build your way into these games. And I think Buckman's got a challenge. I think this team can do it, but there's a lot of new faces, and I think Buckman is obviously new to this league as well. He's coached the Buccaneers. This is his first time coaching the Raiders. It's going to be tough for him, but like we said, as long as they can sort of keep a consistency going to some sort of level and keeping the off ice stuff, like you said as well, that's the main thing is just building off ice. They had a really good year last year for that, and just sort of keeping that ethos in Romford. And I think, yeah, just sort of see how the year goes, really. You can't really put an expectation on this team yet because there is so many new faces and it's Romford because you just never know what they're going to bring every night.
Well, Dad, I'll ask you a different kind of question. I'm looking at their average age. It's 23 years old is the average age of their whole team. And don't get me wrong, they've got some veteran guys on that team, and players who've played in this league for a long time, Jake Sylvester, Brandon Ayliffe. But even they're 27, 28 years old. So it's a young team. Buckman's coached a lot of young players within the Bucks. So yeah, you just want to see them giving it everything every week. And if you can see some of these younger guys progress, making a step up as well, I think that's massive for some of these lower teams is seeing your younger guys progress up, like we've seen with TJ Anderson, like we've seen with Marco Pascal, them breaking into the National League.
Yeah, I think Dan's hit the nail on the head. I think it's going to be consistency. Or we've all said it. It's going to be consistency. I think there'll be a tough team again at home to beat. I think for the youngsters again, it is that away form. I think it's that consistency. And I think also we've spoken about the depth in the team as well. Let's not kid ourselves. Injuries hit last season, and they will hit again this season. And I think with not having as much depthy players, I think if there is an injury, I think it will hit hard again. But I think mid table, as you said, playoffs. I think at times they're going to be brilliant, and we're going to say what fantastic, play and games. I think there could be times when it's just a little bit lower and it just drops off a little bit. And I think getting to the cup final last season, I think Romford fans will want the same again, and rightly so. But I think new coach, it is going to be a challenge. They could be a team to watch. They could go under the radar a little bit. We just don't know.
They're always a fun team. So it's so hard. So I don't want to say. I don't want to say to him, "Oh, you're not going to make a cup final," because you don't know. And in this league, anything can happen. But I don't think their expectation after last year of making a cup final should be, "Oh, you've got to make a cup final again." If it happens, it happens. But try and get that playoff spot, because flipping heck, every night, like you said, like Bristol got so much better. Solway bringing in the defensive players they have, like. Yeah, it's going to be tough, and I think a playoff, if it can have some memorable games as well, the likes of Cole CC stealing a couple games maybe against Swindon, and I like this thing you always say, Dan, of maybe beating every single team in the league, and maybe trying to get away wins against teams which you didn't last season. So yeah, ones to watch then. We'll finish with the ones to watches. Dad, I'll let you go first. Who's your ones to watch going into this season?
I mean, it's probably pretty obvious. But I think you've got to start at the back. You've got to start with a netminder, Cole CC. I think his role is pivotal in those big games. Just going back to what we said, expectations. I think if Raiders are in with a shout to get into that top four for the cup, with the depth of their squad, then you may have to pick accordingly. It may be two games at the weekend, but this is a key game. We saw it with Peterborough last year. Sometimes, there'd be a key game they had to play for over that weekend. And I think Raiders are in that similar position. If they're getting into key positions where they got a chance, then they'll focus in on one particular game at the weekend. And I think their keeper, their netminder, Cole CC, I think he will be instrumental in gaining points. It'd be interesting to look back over the season to see, amount of shots on goal and how many points he has earned for his team, fundamental to their success and their achievements this year.
Yeah, and that's why you bring him in for. I think that's the biggest one to watch for them this season. But Dan, will come to you. Who's your ones to watch for them?
Well, I'm going to keep on the theme of goalies, but I'm going to go with the backup goalie in Owen Ryder.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit of a weird one. We haven't. I feel like we haven't really spoken enough about him in this podcast because he did have a really really good year last year, and bringing in the import goalie was always going to turn heads. But I'm hoping this isn't the last we're going to see of Ryder. I'm hoping he does get his opportunities because after the season that he's had, he deserves it. And I think being alongside an import goalie like CC is only going to boost his game even more and be able to be with that guy in training and get a really good relationship with your goalie and have that good tandem. I think if Ryder can keep up the level that he had and even grow it even more, I think that goaltending tandem is very, very underrated because Ryder can come into these games and show up. Like he's not one of these guys that are going to shy off a big game. He will step up to a big game if he needs to. And I think CC, you'll get the best out of him if you do rest him and don't play him for all the games. We saw what happened with Day. So you've got Ryder there that you can put in games. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on Ryder because he can turn up in games and he will steal you games as well as CC. So yeah, just keep an eye on him and sort of I'm excited to see his game grow.
Nice one. I'm gonna go with Marco Pascal. I think this is a big year for him. Ralph's obviously gone to Bison. They've got this import defenseman in Jarrett Baker. But I think Pascal, if he's going to be playing next to Jarrett, I think he's going to learn so much. Just like you've said with Ryder learning so much from Cece, I think Pascal's going to have to take that step up this year. I know he's a smaller defenseman, but he's got so much skill. He's a great skater. And yeah, I'm excited to watch him develop into what could be one of their main what could be their main brick defenseman this season, taking on that role which Ralph did have. So yeah, I'm excited to see Marco Pascal this season. That completes our Raiders special. Again, thank you to Ayliffe for hopping on. I think he's got another. He's probably going to be playing next to Shaw Miller again, so that's not going to be bad for him. But yeah, it'd be interesting. It's as we said, it's so tough to predict Raiders because they're so unpredictable. Like making the Coventry finals, nearly beating Leeds, and then making the cup final as well. They do unpredictable things, so we'll have to see what they do this season. But we wish Raiders good luck, and we wish Jason Buckman good luck as well with his first kind of full-time head coach role in the National League. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please do like, subscribe. And if you haven't already, go check out our other team specials as well, where you can get to know the rosters around the league. So we'll see you in the next one. Peace.